There's a movement that's seeing some real growth across the country to lower the voting age to 16, which is, in my view, a terrible idea for a lot of reasons. We'll come back to that. Last week, the Boston City Council sent a petition to the city's mayor, Michelle Wu, to approve lowering the voting age by 2 years. But it's not just taking place in traditionally liberal Boston. The movement's seeing traction in Virginia, where a Democratic lawmaker made the proposal, which could be decided next year. In Los Angeles, Culver City, a ballot measure that would allow 16 and 17-year-olds to vote remains undecided after this past election day, but it's still very close. Lawmakers in Hawaii have repeatedly tried to amend their state constitution to allow voting at age 16 in lower-level elections. And although a similar measure was defeated in D.C. in 2018, neighboring cities like Greenbelt and Hyattsville, Maryland, did successfully pass legislation which allowed 16 and 17-year-olds to vote in local elections. Now, of course, the reality is that the younger you are, the more likely you are to vote Democrat. Check out these exit polls from Tufts University based on the most recent midterms for how people voted for the House of Representatives based on age. 65 and older, 55% voted Republican, 43 Democrat. 45 to 64, it's still 54 Republican, 44 Democrat. Once you get to 30 to 44, it's 37% Republican, 51% Democrat. And finally, the 18 to 29-year-olds, a whopping 28-point margin with 35% voting Republican, 63% voting Democrat. During a 2018 TED Talk, a 16-year-old from Vermont named Camille King made the case to lower the voting age, arguing that her fellow 16-year-olds aren't as immature as adults like to paint them.
Everybody thinks 16-year-olds are stupid, but no 16-year-old is going to vote for Donald Duck in office. That's not going to happen. Like, no one is. And we're not children. If 18 is the age of majority, then 16-year-old is only 2 years younger than that, so we're young adults, and we should be treated as such.
Camille seems mature for 16. The good news for her is since that was in 2018, she's now old enough to vote. When it comes to voting in all elections, not just local ones, the Democrats face a little hurdle called the Constitution. The 26th Amendment lays it out pretty plain and simply. The right of citizens of the United States who are 18 years of age or older to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state or in account of age. But putting that aside, and it's not a mandate, for example, a 16-year-old can't move out of their parents' house on their own volition. It would seem the parents would still have a lot of sway over who they voted for. And the practical question, who's going to drive them to the polls? In many states, you can only get a learner's permit at age 16. And 16-year-olds aren't permitted to see an R-rated movie without their parents present. In theory, they can't even play video games that are rated mature. A 16-year-old is a minor, except when it comes to the solemn duty of voting. Joining me now is Allentza Michel, who is on the board of Vote 16 USA and helped lead the push to lower the voting age in Massachusetts. Thanks very much for coming on the program. Appreciate it. What am I getting wrong here?
Well, Dan, I don't think it's necessarily a matter of things getting wrong, but really recognizing the imperative value of young voices in our political processes. As you have diligently covered over the years, democracy is facing a crisis right now, and we need to engage young people so that they are building a habit forming in practicing the democratic process of voting. And it may be that some communities you can't drive or you can't have access to things, but there are also many communities where you can be tried as an adult, where you have young people who can even get married at age 16, but yet they're not allowed to vote.
So do you think that we should also, reduce the age, for example, for drinking, joining the military, et cetera?
I think that we're talking about very different things when we try to make those kinds of comparisons. For example, there was a time when you couldn't vote at age 18, but it was actually following the Vietnam War that the likes of Senator Ted Kennedy had argued that it was because young people are increasingly becoming more involved in their communities, have greater access to information, and are in many ways engaging their parents and changing the way in which politics take place before our eyes, that they should have access and a right to be able to participate. Essentially, it's about making sure that they're not being disenfranchised.
All right, how about then making it 14?
There are certain standards why our movement had been focused on the age of 16 and 17.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.